And you share your thoughts on the frequency of coaching sessions. That is for this kind of a thing. Let's say you start with an initial thing and then you have an extended thing like you were talking about, right? So you have an initial intensive and then perhaps a 1 month, or sorry, 6 month program, the more comprehensive, the thoughts on the frequency of coaching sessions, whether that's weekly, twice a month, monthly.
So I really feel like more frequent in the beginning, because that's
Mhm.
when the most energy is definitely there. The attention is there. Um, and then transition to space it out where it could definitely be once a month. This is where this you practice what you preach, right? This is
Mhm.
honoring that person. So honoring that person's style. Some styles are definitely more autonomous and they can go ahead and implement, do changes and all that jazz on their own, and they're just fine having that once a month check-in. But then there's others that they need a little bit more nurturing and more frequent check-in, and that's okay too. So
Mhm.
you end up, personalizing that even more. Sometimes I think too, it takes just being creative where it may not have to be such a formal, like formal call, if you
Mhm.
will, but it could be something like a chat, like a typing chat or a Voxer, where at least you just kind of get your question out there and then it's asynchronous and getting a response back. Um, I think it just depends on the person for sure, and their style and
Mhm.
kind of like accommodating it to that. And
Right.
then while at the same time, you got to be open to if some things come up that the frequency might have to increase. Um, or even for myself, if I'm starting to see a pattern, then to bring it to their awareness, like, the once a month thing isn't quite happening very well. Like, and so what do you
Right.
say that we do every other week and then go from there?
Between the coaching sessions, which types of support or mentorship outside of the scheduled training would be most beneficial?
So as far as if I'm actually being the one to consult and do it, I personally believe that, hey, if you can do it on your own outside of our sessions, and then just kind of, if you need a spot to put your questions, right, here's your spot. And
Mhm.
then just know that we'll address it when we meet.
Mhm.
Unless, like I said in the very beginning, sometimes it does take, like, we got to talk a little bit more, because you'll see it naturally start to taper off. Then we can do that, whether that is through text chat or through Voxer, or something similar to Voxer where it's voice. So I'm really big on, hey, you got this. You can you can go and you can implement it and then just play around with it. I and at the same time support that if you got the questions, you got the questions. That's what I'm here
Right.
for, to
So
answer.
that's sort of more the core of that question is, if they do need that support outside of the training, what sort of support or other things, like I said, so it doesn't fall between the cracks. They go, I'm mostly good, but I have some questions.
Yeah,
How
I would
often should that be available, or and what form would it take?
I would still follow under the same thing as far as jotting them down, like if it's in your notebook
Hmm.
for it, or if it's sending chat, email, Voxer, asking those questions, and then it's agreed upon ahead of time, like what the response might be.
Hmm.
Um, and so if that's going to be like 48 hours, 72 hours, if it's an SOS, make sure you say it's an SOS to try to expedite a response back. And
Right.
that, yeah, that's what I was talking about, was referring to in between the sessions themselves.